Welcome to the session on computer literacy for computer science majors. In this particular session, I'd like to talk about the command line interface that everybody needs to know how to navigate, because we are so used to a mouse or touch screen and pinching and pulling things that we kind of forget how computers really worked before the graphical user interface was invented, the GUI. So we try not to use GUI at all, okay? And that's the point for this particular session. So in the command line, what we need to know some of the utilities. So what are those basic utilities that you should know? You should know the dir command, the cd command, maybe a simple copy command, also setting environmental variables, where the most important environmental variable is your path environmental variable. And also you should know how to use help files. Okay, so in the help files in the Windows environment, it's always going to be a /?. It might be a /h for help. Sometimes some utilities might make you write out the whole word help with 2 dashes in front of it. In a Unix Linux environment, you would use either a man page or you would use an info page. And maybe you want to learn how to create directories, so you can see how to create folders. And especially with the copy command, maybe you want to use something like a copy con and to a file, and just practice creating files on the command line itself. So this would be probably one of the basics that you should be familiar with. Okay, so let's get started. So what we're gonna do, or what our goal is in this particular session, is to create a folder structure. So for our operating system, the operating system is independent from the file system. Now the file system is divided into partitions. So if you have your hard drive, let's say this is the hard drive, and we can divide this hard drive into different partitions. That's just a logical division for your whole hard drive. In this case, I divided the hard drive, so this is the hard drive, and I divided those into three pieces. Okay, so then we're gonna have a C drive, we're gonna have a D drive, and then we have, let's say, an E drive. So Windows associates the partitions with drive letters. Now those drive letters do not mean a file system. Until we format the file system, that's when the drive letter receives the \. So C:\/ means it is the C partition, and that partition has a file system. So generically, this would be called drive letter : \. Okay. So every time you try to refer to a folder, a subfolder, or you want to find a particular file name, first you need to know what drive that file is on. Okay, and after you know where the file is on. Then you might have directories, let's say the temp directory on C drive, and under the temp directory we might have a directory 1. Okay, so that means the full path, the absolute path, would start at the drive letter, and then temp would be the directory, directory 1 would be the subdirectory. So in this case, the way that you would find that particular directory is by referring to it as C:\temp /dir1. That is drive letter : directory /subdirectory. So as far as notes are concerned, when you see examples, this is what you should have in your notebook, which is a generic representation of directory structures within your file system. Okay, so this particular one right here is just a specific example, and this would be your generic notes. How do you think about when somebody tries to refer to an absolute path? Okay, so now this is an absolute path because it starts with the drive letter, and the drive letter specifies from the very beginning where the file or where the directory is located. Okay, so if we have a directory, let's say directory 2 slash, let's do the arrow notation, directory 2, and under directory 2 we have a directory called directory 3. So how would you refer to that directory 3 with absolute path notation? Well, that would be d/dir2 /dir3. Okay, so this is the very basics of what is it that you have to understand about the file system and directories. So let's see how that works on the actual command line. So if you click on the Windows icon, you can just type in cmd, and you're gonna see there is a command prompt. Okay, so now we have the command prompt, and you can see in this particular case, by default it opens up to the U drive. So it is, in my case, it is referring to the U drive. On the U drive, I am on the root of this file system. There is no subdirectories, there are no directories listed, it's just the backslash. And the backslash means this is where the file system starts. So if I want to change drive letter from U to C, I just type in the drive letter and a colon and press the enter key. And now you can see the prompt. So this is my prompt, and this blinking little line, this blinking underscore, is called a cursor. Now the cursor is blinking at a prompt. So right now I'm on a drive letter C on the root of that C drive. So if I want to go to a directory, then we can type in cd. Now cd is a utility. That cd utility, if I don't know how to use it, I can get a help for that cd utility by typing in cd space on /?. And in this case, you can read about this utility and what the capabilities of this utility is, and you can see the different options that we can use with this dir utility, I mean the cd utility. So you can even spell out chdr when you're using it, or you can just use cd. Now if these are called options. Now if an option is in square brackets, that means that is optional. So we can just, in this case, let's just go back to like the cd, the simplest way to run the cd utility. What does that mean? How do we read this? We read it by cd. We can press enter and it will work. Why would it work? Because all the options are optional. Everything after the cd utility is in square brackets, so that means every single one of those are optional. So what about /d? What does /d means? To find out what /d means, I need to go down in the help file, and you can see use the /d switch to change current drive in addition to changing the correct directory for a drive. Okay, so we can use the /d or what we had, let's say u. Okay, and if you don't have a U drive letter, it's not gonna work. Okay, but you can put in your thumb drive, and probably your thumb drive gonna receive E, and that way you can do the same thing as E colon, and then you can go to the E drive letter. Again, the main idea here is not if this command worked on your computer, but do you understand why does it work? Right? So what we did right now is just a cd. cd is a utility, and the utility has an option where the option can specify that don't just change to a directory, but also change the drive letter, and then we can use the drive letter option, so we can specify which directory we want to change to on what drive letter. Okay, and that's what you need to understand, this generic concept, not exactly the specific example that I just showed you. Okay, so if I want to do a cd no options, see it lists the contents of my current working directory, which is wherever the cursor is blinking, but it does not change the drive letter. So if I want to change the drive letter, I need to do cd/d, and then I want to go to my C drive, and now we have a C drive. Okay, at this point we can type in CLS. That just clears the screen. So CLS is to clear the screen. So at this point, let's go ahead and create our file structure. Okay, so let's change the directory cd to temp. Now you can see here I'm not putting in the drive letter in front of temp. Okay, temp is a directory, and when I press enter, the cursor blinks at a current path, and that current path is on my C drive under the temp directory. Now if I go back, dot dot means a parent. Okay, so if you look at a directory structure, let's say this is my C drive. Under C drive I have a directory called temp. Okay, under temp we have a dot directory and we have a dot dot directory. Okay, so think about, if this is you, okay, and this is your parent, okay, and we are holding hands. Okay, so the parent is C slash and the child is temp. Okay, so if you're saying dot dot or dot means yourself. Okay, so dot means yourself. You're pointing back at yourself. If you're saying dot dot means go to my parent. Okay, so a directory structure is built up like a tree structure. So this is what you need to think about when you're looking at file systems. Okay, it's a tree structure. So from a node, and the node would be, let's say, a file. From that file, I want to go to my parent directory. I can go to the parent directory by changing directory cd to dot dot. That takes me up one level. So if this was slash, this was temp, this was directory 1, then if I type in cd dot dot slash dot dot, in that case the second dot dot will take me all the way up to the root of my C drive. Okay, so the dot dot means your parent, dot means yourself. So let's see if we can actually create this structure. Okay, so right now I am on the root of C drive. How do I know that? Because the backslash is my path and the cursor is blinking at that path. So my current working directory is the root of the C drive. Okay, if you don't see any directories and subdirectories, it's the root of that particular drive. So if I do cd temp, you can see the prompt changed to c/temp. So this is where I am right now. So at this point I am at temp. Okay, at that particular place. So I do not have dir1, so I can make that directory. The command for that is make mkdir. If I don't know how to use that, I can look up the help file for that particular utility. You can see that we can use either mkdir. The drive letter is optional, but the path is required because there is no square brackets around it. Or we can just say md, where the drive letter is optional, but the path is required. So there's a long version of the utility and the short version of the utility. And you can see there is some explanation for the utility, and also you have some examples how to use it. Okay, so the slash question mark, the help file, really gives you a good explanation what is this utility and what the capabilities are for this particular utility. So I want to create a directory called directory called dir in order for me to be able to change directory to this directory. So I can do mkdir or md, right? And the path is or the directory is optional. So here I can just say dir1. Okay. And that way I just created a directory. So now I can do cd dir1, and because at this stage I created dir1, I did not specify the path to that dir1, so it automatically created that dir1 under temp. So dir1 exists under temp, so now I can change directory to dir1. This is called a relative path. So relative to where I am right now. Where I am right now is in c/temp. In this directory, I have a subdirectory, so I can just, as long as I'm going downwards, okay? So let's say we are at this place right here at temp, okay? Long as we are going downwards in the directory tree structure, we can relatively say what directory I want to change directory to, okay? Or what we could have done, let me go up to the parent. How do we go up to the parent? Just say cd ... Okay, with cd ... from directory 1 I went back up to temp. You can see the cursor shows me where I am right now. So I can change directory by specifying the absolute path. The absolute path would be c:/temp/dir1. So now you can see that I have the full path to dir1, including the drive letter, the top level folder, which is the root directory, then the temp, and then dir1. I want to go all the way to dir1. Okay? And you can see it works. So, what if I have another directory? Let's say Windows. Okay, so there's a Windows directory. Under Windows directory, we have a directory called System32. Okay, so right now we are in dir1. How can I change directory over to System32 under Windows? Okay, so I cannot go directly horizontally in this file system. So what I can do is I can go up to the parent, to the common denominator, and from there I can go down to System32. Or I can, regardless where I am on the file system, I can just type in the actual or the absolute path to Windows System32 folder or subfolder and change directory directly that way. So what I can do is cd ... What is that going to do? We are right there in dir1. ... will take us to temp. From temp, I want to go up to the parent of that to find the common denominator between the two folders. So now we are up at the parent. At that point, now we can start going down. So we can say Windows / and now we are in System32. Okay? And now we change directory and the cursor is blinking at System32, so it was successful. So that was relative where we were standing before. Okay? So if I want to go back, to dir1. How can we do that with an absolute path? An absolute path would be change directory, space, this is my C drive, root directory, under root directory, temp subdirectory, under temp subdirectory, dir1, right? So we are standing at System32, that's where the cursor is blinking, but we don't have to specify going up the tree and down the tree like in the relative path. We can just specify the absolute path and directly change over to that subdirectory. Okay? So to look at this the easy way, right, and you can navigate it this way, but really what I'd like you guys to do is to forget about your mouse. Okay, this is what you're more comfortable with, looking at your C drive, and then you click on temp, and then you go into the dir1 directory. So going up and going down the directory structure, this you feel more comfortable with because you can use your mouse. But that's not what we want to do. Okay? You really want to create directories and files and folders on the command line. This is how you're really eventually going to feel much better with how computers feel or how computers work. Okay, so we are in dir1. Let's create another directory. Make directory directory2. Now that's going to be under directory1. So here we can create another one. Remember, we can just use MD. We don't need to spell out mkdir. So let's create another one. dir3. Okay. And now if I want to see what files and folders exist, I can just type in dir. And you can see we have the dot. What does the dot mean? Dot means we're pointing back at ourselves. If we have dot dot, that means we are pointing back to our parent. Who's the parent? The parent is temp. And this particular folder contains two other folders, like dir2 and dir3. Those are two directories also specified or shown by the dir keyword right here. Okay, so at this point what we can do is, what's going to happen if I say dir dot? Okay, what do you think going to happen when I press enter? Hopefully you correctly guessed it, and you would say that nothing gonna happen because we are pointing back at ourselves. But what's gonna happen if I type in cd dot dot? Cd dot dot will point back to the parent. Who is the parent? Parent gonna be temp. You can see the cursor blinking at the path c/temp. So we can type in a 3 command. Okay, that's another way to visualize what you're doing. And you can see that dir1 has two directories, dir2 and dir3. So if I want to change directory to dir1/dir2. Okay, now that is a relative path, right? So let me get rid of this one. Okay, let's just move it over here. Okay, so under temp directory we have another directory called dir1, and that dir1 has other directories like dir2 and dir3 directories. So right now I'm sitting at this location. This is called the current working directory. Okay, this is where I'm sitting directly. So from this relative position, what I'm gonna do with the cd command is we're gonna go to dir1, and under dir1 we're gonna end up with the dir2 directory. So when we press enter, okay, so the directory change did not happen until you pressed enter. And now when you press enter, then you can see the cursor is blinking and the path is showing us that we did change to this particular subdirectory. So how can we change over to dir3? Can we just say cd dir3? No, we cannot, because cd-dir3 would mean that dir3 is under dir2 directory, and it's not. It's at the same level. But what we can do is go back to our parent. The parent is ... So that ... we can say ... slash dir3, and now you can see that we ended up in dir3. Okay, so how can we go back to temp? cd ... slash ... right? That way we are at dir3, ... takes us to dir1, another ... will take us up to temp. So we are at temp. Let's go back to dir1, cd dir1. Let's clear the screen. You can see we have the directory structure, or the directory path, where we at right now. And we can list the directory contents just with the dir directory or utility, the dir utility. And you can see this folder, this directory has two subdirectories, dir2 and dir3. So let's create a file in here. Okay, so let's do a copy space con space text.txt. So now in this particular case, what is it that we need to understand? Okay, so in this case, what we need to understand is copy is a utility. Okay, it's an application. And then we have con. Con refers to console. Console is the from. And then we have text dot txt. That means file name dot extension. Okay, so again, this is the most important part that you should take a note of. Okay, what utility do I need to use? In this case, copy. Where do I want to copy from? I want to copy from the console. Where do I want to copy to? I want to copy to a text file. Okay, so that's what this utility means. So then we press enter. You can see because we pressed enter, there is no prompt. So it's waiting for our input. So the input gonna be, let's just say hello, hello world. Press enter. Okay, here we can say hello class. Press enter. Okay, we might say bye class. Okay, it doesn't matter how many lines you want to type, you can keep typing, because what we are doing is we're taking the console, whatever we're typing on a console, it will be saved in this file called text.txt. Now if we want to finish typing, then we press Ctrl Z. Okay, so that is Ctrl plus the Z, and then we press enter. So now you can see it says one file copied. So if I want to see if the file really was created, I type in the command to list the directory contents. What is the directory contents? What is the utility that will show me the directory contents? It is dir. Okay, and you can see that the file that we wrote is saved in the dir directory, that is in the temp directory on my C drive. It has 37 bytes stored in it, and the name of it is text.txt because that is the file that we saved it to. So from the console to the file name dot extension. Okay, and if I want to see this file with an application, we can just type in notepad.text.txt. Okay, and when you press enter, you're gonna see that we have the text.txt with all the characters in it what we typed in at the console. Okay, so now we have a file. Now what is the path to that file? The path to that file is under temp dir1, the file name is text.txt, and that is a file that is not a directory. How do I know it's a file, not a directory? Because the file does not have this dir in front of it. It basically has nothing in front of it. It has a size, it has a file name, and it also has the file extension. Okay, so what else do we need to talk about in this case? Okay, so we covered make directory, so we can create directories. And let's just navigate through the GUI, right? So here's the temp. Under temp we have dir1, dir2, dir3, and then we have the text file that we can double click. Okay, but that makes it very simple to use. This is great for users, but not for you guys in science or STEM field or computer science. You really need to understand how it works from the command line point of view. Okay, so let's look at, or let's create a file somewhere else. Okay, now I don't want to create a brand new file. I'd like to copy this text file. Okay, what is the generic syntax? What you need to think about? Utility. What's the utility we're using right now? What we're using is copy utility. What is the from file? From the text file this time. It's not gonna be from the console, but from this text file that we just created. And where we want to copy it to? Well, in order to copy, we can give it a path. So here we can say, I want to create it under directory 3. You see, there's nothing in front of the directory 3, so that means it's a relative path. It is relative to where I am right now. Right now I am in dir1. One of the subdirectory is dir3. So because we are right here, we can go into subdirectory 3 and then copy the file there. And at that point, maybe I want to copy it with a different file name. So the source and the destination file name do not have to match. Okay, so now we have a file copy. Now how can I see that file? Well, first I need to go to that directory, dir3. We are in dir3 subdirectory. I can list the directory contents with dir, and you can see that here we have the dot directories, dot to point to myself, dot to point to my parent. Who's gonna be my parent in directory 3? The parent gonna be directory 1. And the child name, this is called the node, this child name is myfile.txt, file name dot file extension. Okay, so right here, this is important to write notes from this point of view, that you have utilities, from, to, file name, file extension, drive letter, directories, subdirectories, and you have to visualize it as a tree structure. Okay, so Now, if I want to see this particular file, I can type in Notepad and my file. And if I add, or let's say remove some, so I highlight those, delete them, save the file, okay? So if I say Notepad myfile.txt, it only has one line in it. But if I say Notepad // text.txt file, what does that mean? We are instructing the utility or application, right? So the utility called Notepad will open up a file. Now, where is that file? Not this file in my current working directory, but in a directory of my parent. So we are at directory 3. We're moving up to directory 1 temporarily with a ... and now in that directory I want to open up the text.txt file, and you can see that file is opened up and we can see all 3 lines. Right, so that is the text.txt file. Okay, so you need to practice this. Make sure you rewind the video and watch it over and over and over again, and then try to visualize everything what we did over here, and pay attention specifically to the generic syntax, how we need to refer to these utilities and what we're typing in. Okay. You can also press F7 on your keyboard and you can see that we can bring up the history. Okay, press escape for that to disappear. Okay, and you can also use the up and down arrow key, right? So F7 for history, escape to close the history. Okay, and then we need to think about the up and down arrow keys, which will be recalling the history. Okay, so if I want to see, I don't want to type a notepad / text.txt again, I can just up arrow and you can see through the history I can navigate just by pressing the up and down arrow keys. Okay, so that's going to be a really good shortcut for you to do things much faster, so you don't have to type that much. Okay, so that's going to be important, up and down arrow key. Now another shortcut that you might need to know is if I try to, let's say, open up a file, and I know there is a file that starts with a T or M in this case, right? So dir3. So in dir3 we have my file.txt, and I don't want to type all that. I just remember, let's say, my. Then you can press the tab. Okay, and if you have multiple files that starts with my, you can tab the press the tab multiple times, and it will cycle through all the options that starts with the same name. So tab is to command or file name completion. Okay, so it will complete the file name, whatever the utility name or a file name is. Okay, so let's go up one level. Let's do cd dot space dot dot. Okay, so we are in dir. What can what do I have in dir1? Well, I have dir2 and dir3. So I can do cd space d and press tab. You see how the tab is cycling through. I have two options, either 2 or 3. So if I want to go to dir2, then I stop pressing the tab. When dir2 shows up, press enter, and now we are in dir2. Okay, up and down arrow, and so okay, I want to go back to my parent. I don't have to type that in because it's already in my history, so I can navigate with my up and down arrows through the history. When I find the command that I typed in before, I just press enter. Okay, and here I want to go up one level again, so I recalled it from the history, press enter again. Okay, and then I want to let's say I don't have any of those, right? But I have CD directory 1. Again, I can find that command in my history, press enter, and I change directory into that folder. So these shortcuts can make your life much easier. Okay, so make sure F7, escape, up and down arrow, tab for completing a folder name, file name, or application name. Okay, so let's look at one more concept here. Okay, and for that we need an executable. So go ahead and find an executable somewhere. Okay, so I'm gonna find an executable. Okay, so let's do MD5 sum, which should be a really simple application. Okay, MD5 sum at e3.org, and we're gonna download that. Okay, save the file. Okay, and we can find the file. There it is. Let's just copy it from here with GUI really quickly into my dir1 folder. So that is an application. Okay, so let's get rid of all this right here, and let me just redraw the basic concepts if I can find my marker. Okay, got it. Okay, so what do we have? So we have C/temp. Under C/temp we have dir1. dir1 contains dir2 and let me just skip those spaces here. So dir3, and it also contains MD5 sum.exe. So the file extension is exe, that's an executable. And also we have test.txt. Right? Let's see what's in directory 2. There's nothing in directory 2. Go back to directory 1. What's in directory 3? Directory 3 contains my file.txt. Right? So this is what our directory structure looks like. Okay, let's go back to command line again. Let's see if we can see the same information. What's in dir1? How can we find it out? We just type in dir. Okay, what dir shows us is we have one directory which called directory 2, dir2, another directory, dir3, an executable, .exe file, and we have a text file, a .txt file. So these 4 entries that we have. Okay, if I want to see what do we have in dir2, we do cd dir2. Okay, how do I see the listing of this directory? Just type in dir. Okay, there's nothing. So we are right here. I want to go back to the parent. How do we go back to the parent? How do I go back to a dir1? We go back there with dot dot, right? So we can do cd space dot dot. Now we are at dir1. Let's go back down to dir3. So cd dir3. List the directory contents. And you can see here we have myfile.txt. Okay, go back to the parent. We can type in 3 dir1. Okay. Oh, it doesn't exist, right? So let's go one level back up. Recall 3 dir1, and you can see the tree structure, the folder structure under dir1. Okay, so we have this. You have to kind of visualize this, what we're trying to do. Okay, so dir3, if we type in dot dot, it's gonna take up to dir1. Okay, so MD5 sum is only in dir1. Let's copy that to dir2. Okay, how do we do that? We can say copy dir1 slash, why do I have to say that? Because right now we are at temp, and under temp we do not have md5 sum.exe. So here I have to say the relative path md, that's enough typing, press tab, it will complete the file name, space. Why? Because copy is the utility, from, which is the executable, to where you want to copy it to, dir1 backslash d, press the tab. No, I don't want to copy it to 2. No, I don't want to copy it to 3. But I don't have any options, so I do have to copy it to 2. That's really what I want to do. So even if we make a mistake, okay, it will cycle through all the options. So we just keep pressing tab and it will give you the option. Okay, at this point we can type in a slash and we can change the file name of it. So let's call it like app.exe, app2.exe. Okay, how do we know it actually worked? Well, there is no error message, but we can go to that directory, cd space dir1 slash dir2, enter, and now I want to list the directory contents, and you can see here is app2. Okay, so while we were copying, we also renamed it to something else. So let's see what we have here under dir2 is app2.exe file. Okay, so let's see how computers work. I'd like to execute this executable and this executable. Okay, so how can that work? Right now we are at dir2. Under dir2 we have app2. So I can type in app2, press enter. Okay, so the application is running. So if I go back to dir1, how do I go back to dir1? cd space dot dot. Now we are back at dir1. Under dir1 I have md, press tab, don't type too much, press tab, press enter, it works just perfectly fine, right? But what happens if I say app2 and press enter? It says, I don't think so, it doesn't exist. So the operating system will not find it. The operating system, when you look at the operating system, when you try to run an application, cannot just look at every single application file name and then figure out which application you wanted to run. The application will look at something called an environmental variable that will limit what folders the operating system need to look for in order to find executables. Okay, so here what we need to use is a set utility. Set utility will set a variable name called path. The path, when we set that path, will have a semicolon delimited list. Okay, so that's going to be listing path 1, path 2, path 3, path 4. So the operating system will only look for executables in these 4 particular paths. Okay? So right now, the operating system have no clue where app2 executable is, because the app2 executable is not in any one of the paths that the operating system is looking for to find executables. So how do I know that? What we can do is echo, and then when we're talking about variables, in this case the variable name is a path. I don't want to say just path. What echo does, echo displays the characters that we are typing. But what I want to tell echo is give me the value, what is inside the path. Okay? So this is the variable, and these are the values. Okay? So it can be a single value or multiple value. Path environmental variable specifically will list all the options, all the path, by separating the different paths with the semicolon. Okay, so now when we press enter, you can see when the operating system is looking for an executable, it will look into this path. There is the separator, and then it looks into this path. There is the separator, then it looks into this path. That is the separator. Well, where is app2? App2 is in C:\temp/dir1/dir2. Well, that is not in any of this specific path in the path environmental variable. So what we can do is we can add that to it. Okay, so let's say, so we're going to use set path, set path equals, well, I don't want to lose whatever is already in my path environmental variable. So what it says is set a path, which is this path the operating system uses, okay, by storing whatever is in the path right now, and then adding another value. So remember, they are semicolon delimited, so that's why I have to place a new semicolon right here, and then I can specify that I want to add dir1/dir2 to that path. And because of that, the operating system, through the path environmental variable, it will locate app2 so we can actually run it. Okay? I can use the up arrow key to echo the value of path, and now you can see that we have added this new path to the existing path. So now let's say I go to just a temp directory, right? I'm right here on this directory. Under this directory I don't have app2, but when I say app2, it runs the application, because now the operating system consults the path environmental variable, and the path environmental variable amongst other paths. So the operating system still look through all these different paths, but the very last path actually included the path where we had to, where we stored app2.exe. So what about MD5 sum? What happens at temp if I type in MD5 sum? MD5 sum.exe. Why did we get an error message? How come it does not see MD5 sum.exe? Well, it doesn't see MD5 sum because, again, that particular directory is not in the path environmental variable. So how can we make the operating system find and locate MD5 sum.exe? Well, let's recall from the command history, the set path, where we were setting the path, and then we can add, let's get rid of dir2, right? So now take the current path that already includes dir1 and dir2, and now concatenate or add this new list, which is temp/dir1, in order to find MD5 sum. Press enter. Let's recall from history, and you can see that we added directory 1, directory 2 that will run or find or locate app2.exe, and now we also added temp directory 1 that will locate MD5 sum.exe. Okay, so from the history, now we can just recall the MD5 sum.exe, and now the error message go away, because we told the operating system how to find both of our applications that we placed in particular directory structures. Now the problem with this is that if I close down the terminal and then I restart this terminal, okay, and I type in MD5 sum.exe, it says it doesn't exist. When I type in app2.exe, it says it doesn't exist. Okay? So how can we make this permanent if we want to run these applications from those folders? Well, in Windows you can go to My PC, okay, This PC or My Computer. It depends on what version of Windows you're running, okay, but usually the top level in your Windows Explorer, the top level icon will show you your computer. You go to the properties of that. Okay, so within the properties there is an advanced settings, and under advanced settings we go to environmental variables. So we have the environmental variables. Here we go down to the system variables and we find the path environmental variable. We click on edit, okay, and make sure that you don't make any changes to this, okay? The only thing that we need to do is to add the two directories, one directory and the other directory, where we have app2 and we have my md5sum.exe, okay? And those paths are separated with a semicolon, okay? So say okay, okay again, and now we restart the command prompt. So we restart the command prompt, and I type in app2.exe. See, it works even on my U drive, or if my current working drive is the U, even then it works. And if I say md5sum, that also works. Even if I go to my C drive, cd temp, right, I can type in app2. It works everywhere on this system, because now we told the operating system to consult this variable, the path environmental variable, and the list of the paths in that environmental variable includes the path where app2.exe and md5sum.exe exists. Okay? So this is going to be very important later on when you try to make, let's say, Java work, okay? And when you install Java, okay, if you have to take a Java programming course, then you have to download your JDK, the Java Developers Kit, right? Someone find it somewhere, okay? Java JDK, okay. You would probably use the SE version, so we click on JDK, so the SE version, which is the standard edition, accept the license agreement, right, and then download your version. I kind of prefer the x86 version. Okay, so after you download it, you can install it. Okay, so go next. At this point, make sure that you stop and look at your folder. Where is it that you want to install it? I would recommend that you install it into something really simple that you can remember. Maybe just Java. Okay. So now, see, I typed in just Java, C Java, say OK. Now you go next. Beside that, I mean, we're taking everything default, but I think it's very crucial that you type in something really simple, something that you can remember. Okay, so what we are doing right now, okay, let's get rid of these. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we have C/Java. Okay, so that's gonna be our directory. So we're gonna end up with a Java subdirectory. Okay, so here we are asking for the JRE, right? So where does the JRE supposed to go to? Okay, and you can leave the JRE at the default location, okay? Or you can change it. I would say the JRE, just leave it at the default location. It doesn't really matter, okay? Okay, so after it finishes, just close it down, okay? And in order to figure out if it works properly, okay, we need to close our terminal, type in CMD again to bring the terminal back up, and we need to look at Java C. Okay, see what happens? It cannot find it. Okay, so this is how you're gonna compile Java code. Okay, so think about Java C is like the MD5 sum that we just installed a few minutes ago. So it's just an executable, but the operating system doesn't know where is it at. Okay, so what we can do is, let's just navigate to it. Remember, I told you to install it into something really simple to remember. So on my C drive, here's Java, and then under Java, here's the bin directory. Okay, so under the bin directory, here is Java C. So what does that look like? One of the directory under Java is bin. That stands for binary. So these are all the binaries under the Java directory. So under that bin, there's an application called Java C. Okay, and there are others as well. So the other thing that you're going to be using is Java Doc. Okay, so here's Java Doc. So how can I tell? How can I tell the operating system to find Java C and Java Doc? How can we tell that? How will the operating system locate those? Okay, how does the operating system work? How does the computer work? Operating system consults the environmental variable. In the environmental variable, what will allow us to locate Java C and Java Doc? These two files. The included path. What path we need to include in order for the operating system to find it? It's going to be C:\Java and bin, right? So that needs to be added to the end of the currently existing path environmental variable. So we need to have Java/bin added to the end. And then it will find both of these files. So let's do this. Okay. We can go back to C drive, right? Okay. There's no utility in front of it, just C drive, and then we can go to temp directory. Okay, if we want to. Make sure that you practice your changing directory commands and also listing the directory contents files, right? Okay. CLS to clear the screen. Okay. So it doesn't matter where you at the command prompt. Okay. We can just type in set path to what? Whatever is in the path right now, which is the value of path, semicolon, and the new path that I want to add, Java/bin. Now it's going to find all the binaries, all the executables under this directory. And now if we type in Java C, it works. But what's the problem? It's only gonna work until we close down this terminal, right? Because if I close down the terminal and I reopen it and I type in Java C, again, it forgets where Java C is. So what do we need to do? We go to this PC or my computer or my PC, properties, advanced system settings, environment variables, scroll down to our path environmental variable, edit. These are the existing ones, so now I just have to add the new path to it. Say okay, okay, okay. Now we restart the command prompt, and anywhere on the system I type in Java C and it will work. Okay, so this is how your computer works. Okay, don't be afraid of the command line. Make sure you understand utilities, and practice this over and over and over again until it makes sense to you. More sense this makes to you, easier your future gonna be in computer science, regardless of what programming language you're gonna learn. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you're gonna practice the skill, and I hope that you're gonna move away from your mouse and you're gonna start working in the command line more often. See you next time.